Hello and good morning. 150,000 people in this country are said to suffer from the debilitating condition called ME. But is it a disease that you catch like a virus, or is it a psychological disorder? Doctors can't agree. Sufferers themselves can't agree. But whatever it is, David, it's not what you call a bundle of laughs, is it?
It's not, Robert, no. It's an incredibly debilitating, disabling disease for most people. 1986, although I didn't get a diagnosis for 4 years, bland because my doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. I kept them going with what to them were bizarre symptoms. They didn't know what was going on. They say, take a test. Symptoms? I started off with a lot of joint pains, muscle pain, general fatigability, and various other neurological symptoms that came on over the years.
What were the
and they
neurological
got
symptoms?
worse because I wasn't told to rest in the early stages. So I went swimming, tried to go swimming and get fit. They just get worse. Sorry.
What were the other, you say, neurological symptoms?
Yeah,
what were they?
really weird stuff. My first really weird one was like when the muscles were really, really painful. And like you'd only walked about sort of 100 yards or something. You think, what's going on? I was on the seafront, bright in the summer, and my leg gave way. I sat on the ground crying. I didn't know what was going on. Again, before diagnosis. Really weird kind of rippling sensation in the thigh muscles. Very, very...
What did you think was going on?
I thought I might be going mad. I didn't know. Cancer springs to mind. I had an HIV test. I've got no idea why I should have HIV, but you don't know. You haven't got a diagnosis. You think the worst. You know you're feeling so ill.
You'll be doing it in your sleep.
Yeah, right, we are. I mean, you don't know what's going on, Robert. That's the problem. And because, unfortunately, a lot of doctors, and I'm not blaming GPs here, because I know that they need training. Obviously, perhaps they don't get enough training. I don't think the doctors will tell you more about this, but a lot of the GPs appear to be in the dark. I had to leave 3 GPs in Brighton before I found a GP who diagnosed me.
Does it exist, Peter?
I don't know, Robert, to be perfectly honest. I see a lot of people with ME with the label attaching to them, and I should say first
what is this ME? What is it?
Well, I think it's a very unfortunate name to start with, and I much prefer the terminology that I think a lot of neurologists employ now, chronic fatigue syndrome, or syndromes plural, because there may well be more than one.
One of those damaging things. It's an important point, though.
No, come back.
My expertise against the background of neurology in general is neuromuscular disease, so a lot of people with the symptoms that our friend up there has just described are sent to me as query ME. Now, my prime responsibility, as I see it, is to make absolutely sure that they have not got a form of muscle disease that can be identified using the various highly sophisticated diagnostic technology that we have at our disposal now. And one thinks particularly in that context of myasthenia gravis, perhaps most importantly. Also inflammatory muscle disease, and the young gentleman's symptoms up the back there certainly would have suggested that to me if I'd seen him early on.
Again, I had a rheumatoid factor test, and it was negative. So
one of the others.
What are you suggesting, that there are specified?
There are a certain number of neuromuscular diseases which would come into the ME bracket, if you like, and have to be excluded because they are eminently treatable. Myasthenia gravis, inflammatory muscle disease, and then a variety of metabolic muscle diseases where muscle chemistry is.
Does this exist, Emmy? Do we go along with the doctor?
Well, I would separate ME from something called chronic fatigue syndrome. Now, chronic fatigue syndrome means different things in different parts of the world. Here in Britain, it's a very broad term. It really refers to all cases of unexplained chronic fatigue lasting anything up to 6 weeks. So ME is to CFS what migraine is to headaches. Fatigue is a symptom, not an illness, but ME is a clinical entity diagnosable using brain scans now. We've got an abnormality which has been found in no other patient group. There's lots of research, but unfortunately most doctors don't know about it because publications like the PMJ sadly don't like to focus on the non-psychological side.
Doctors are ignorant about many things, perhaps chronic fatigue syndromes most of all. If I can comment first of all on the scan evidence of abnormalities in limbic system circulation, and that I suspect is what the lady is referring to.
No.
As I understand it, it's not my area of expertise, but I'm familiar with the work that's been done in London recently, and in fact a young man working for me at the moment was involved in it. There is, as I understand it, no absolutely hard evidence that there are such abnormalities consistently, and one would need very big population studies to be sure about it quite clearly.
We've got something which is 100%.
Well, so we're saying everybody here who's got ME has got the same abnormality?
So far, all the patients with ME have got the same abnormality, and it's been replicated abroad.
It's my daughter. Yeah. I found with Sarah, it started from chickenpox, which she never got well from. And like a persistent virus, cold sores, continuous ill. It went on for 2 years, just went to all the hay, and Dr. Sills diagnosed post-viral syndrome, but classed as ME.
Is that right?
That's a plausible story, and I certainly wouldn't quarrel with it.
Yes.
Most of the patients I see personally, whether they're adolescents like our young friend here,
Yeah.
or young adults, and they're either one or the other in the majority of instances, have a clear story that would be consistent with some form of viral infection, not necessarily as specific as chickenpox, the one I perhaps see most often.
So what are we using here? We're using, if you've got chickenpox, you've got chickenpox. If you've got rabies, you've got rabies. If you've got cancer, you've got cancer. We know you can identify wherever it is there.
When you have an attack of chickenpox, Robert, you've got the virus for life.
Right.
Because
But
you may...
what I was trying to get to, Peter, there's something you can clearly identify. Yet here, it seems to me you're almost using the medical profession a kind of blanket description to cover a multitude of different illnesses.
I think that's a bit hard, actually.
If you don't understand something, it's very easy to cop out of it. Of course, blood tests are expensive, there's limited budgets and so forth, and if you don't understand it, you just say there's people out there who've got ME, and doctors are saying to them, you're just a wee bit depressed.
Well, that is the disgusting situation in this country.
Hang on, go on, Nicky. No, please, doctor, you know I can't get you there. Go on, Nicky.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you know, as you probably know, my wife's got it. I was lucky. I could pick up a phone, say to a journalist, I'm giving up work for a little time because my wife's got ME and it's in the papers and that's good publicity. But I feel for the people out there.
To be here today.
Oh, she did too much yesterday. And doing too much for you or me is running a half marathon. Doing too much for her is going up the stairs.
Yeah.
That's the point. And it's too much for this lady here, for her.
Is there a problem in getting diagnosed? Is that part of the difficulty? I mean, if you go with a broken leg. If you go with cancer of the lung or whatever, you identify. Here, people are passing you from pillar to post, giving you all kinds of explanations of what's wrong.
We've done a survey showing that 61% of GPs in this country are currently unwilling or unable to make an action for ME. It's a patient group to help ME sufferers. They're either unwilling or unable to make a diagnosis of ME. Now, we don't really just blame the doctors. We look at where are they getting their information from, and we've today published a survey showing that the medical press is reporting in either a biased or at best unbalanced way the world research that's going on. Ellen has just told us here there is hard facts showing that there are neurological abnormalities associated with ME. There were 5 papers published in the last 18 months on this. In the medical press there was just 1 article about this, and most of the articles were about things like cold baths or poor sleep. Why is it that the medical press just seizes upon the things that just reinforce this yuppie flu image? There's obviously prejudice in the medical profession, there's prejudice in the medical press, and hopefully we'll talk about the political side of this later on. It's a scandal and it's got to be changed.
I myself have actually recovered totally from ME. When I was first ill, it was actually before ME was even put forward as the name. It was well-free disease or Iceland disease. And my own diagnosis eventually was made by, I think, Dr. Ramsey, who actually coined the phrase ME. Now, I'm not sure now that it is helpful that the argument is about the name of the illness at all. At the time,
the name is just the word. We use words to give descriptions. They're wise men's counters, as Thomas Hobbes said. But what we're talking about here is that you need a label that actually clearly identifies a clear, specific thing. That's why we have it. It doesn't mean that the words aren't important. What it does is what it signifies. And our problem here is it signifies a multitude of different things.
Right. I've actually counselled a lot of people with ME, and I'm not sure exactly in the end what has been the cause of their illness. All I know is that they are suffering from very debilitating symptoms, and I suppose my concern is what can actually help them feel better right now. I think there may be a number of causes of this condition. All of those need addressing.
But we're saying there is a condition.
There is certainly a condition. It's a very,
you and I can agree upon, that all the
syndrome.
doctors will agree upon.
An important point, Robert, is what we don't call it. Let's never again call it yuppie flu.
Right.
That has been the most ridiculous thing. That's like saying Legionnaire's disease. The only people who get Legionnaire's disease are Legionnaires. Or the gay plague. I mean, you know how damaging that is.
We're clearly identifying something here.
I'm not absolutely sure of that, because if you read the literature on the clinical aspects of the ME, some of Peter Behan's writings, for instance, and a chap called Jay Goldstein in Southern California, the lists of symptoms are interminable. Well, that is not
the whole point.
Now,
Has
just made the point that a proportion of people with ME have, definable neurological deficits. Well, now, I would argue that some of those, at least, I'd hesitate to put a figure on it, but in the case of young women, I would think up to a quarter, are suffering from mild and sometimes not so mild multiple sclerosis. And for entirely understandable emotional reasons, they're not prepared to confront that rather frightening diagnosis.
Well, as
I have got firm laboratory as well as clinical evidence in the three-figure cohort of patients I'm studying currently who fit into that category, and in fact two of them, as I was telling one of the ladies, in fact our friend here, in fact Andrea, before the program, two of them are now pre-terminal and are very, very badly disabled with what is clearly multiple sclerosis. Rather than
I'm mortified that you should say that, a certain amount with multiple sclerosis. My daughter's 12, and she's going to get into her head now, well, I haven't got ME, I haven't got this virus thing, I've got multiple sclerosis.
I'm not suggesting for a moment that it applies to your daughter, obviously.
It has shocked her.
You mentioned Peter B in there. He's developed
Dr. Peter, come on, you're talking to the daughter.
It hasn't shocked me because I know it's not true, because ME is a virus in itself. It's not multiple sclerosis at all.
Well, there is almost certainly more than one virus involved in the causation of ME, I would argue.
Whatever it is, Nicky, whatever it is, how do you treat it?
Well, I mean, I don't believe there is a treatment.
As you said, you gave your wife's got it. You've given up your job as a
temporarily.
Oh, temporarily.
I've got to make a living.
But how do you deal with it? How do you treat it?
Well, there is no treatment. I believe there's no cure. It just goes out the back door as stealthily as it came in the front. I believe eventually. I believe it's living with it. It's coping with it as best you can. Pray God. I mean, my wife at the moment is not in a wheelchair. I don't know if she's in the early stages and it's going to get worse. I don't know what's going to happen. But right now she's pretty bad. She needs all the love and attention that she can get.
So
it's stress-free, a stress-free environment. On a completely mundane level, making sure that she doesn't have to go into the kitchen, have to cook a meal, all that sort of stuff, as stress-free as possible. And of course it hurts all the more because she was a golfer, a tennis player, running her own business beforehand.
Is that the doctor's prescription too, what Nicky has just said? That's his prescription for his wife. Is that what a doctor would prescribe to deal with the illness?
I think a doctor who understands ME would prescribe freedom from stress and rest in the first year. What's critically important is that people get diagnosed early on and can take the appropriate rest, mental and physical, have a much, much better chance of recovering. I'm very concerned about a number of children who've been mismanaged early on in the illness, forced to go back to school, forced to do sports at school, forced to do things, perhaps forced to do exercise programs before they're ready for it. And these are the children who deteriorate and actually become paralyzed. There is no treatment, there's no magic bullet, there's no magic drug. There are drugs that can help with some symptoms like painkillers or antidepressants where appropriate. All people with ME have an innate potential to get better if they're allowed.
Okay, I've come to you and you've told me, right Robert, what you've got to do, take a year off, rest, be stress-free. Be stress-free, that'd be wonderful. But I don't like that, I'm going for a second opinion.
Well, I'm going along with Anne's views there as far as self-help is concerned. It's extremely important to rest in the early stages when you've had this viral infection, you're knocked off, to then start to mobilise yourself. We don't want people to either go to bed and stay there, because that's bad for them, or we don't want people to try and force themselves out of it. They've got to try and create this balance. But I must go back to what Peter, our neurologist here, was saying, because he's on one end of a neurological spectrum. There are other neurologists who do believe this is a neurological disease. It has been classified by the World Health Organization.
What do you mean by that? In layman's terms, are you saying that's a mental illness?
No, it's a disease, an organic disease affecting the brain. I mean, I've got some scans here from the Annals of Internal Medicine. Don't know whether Peter's seen those. These are MRI scans of the brain. We have a lot of research now going on into hypothalamic function. I don't know whether he's read that or not. And I think this may be a key part of the illness. There's a tiny little gland within the brain that controls energy, temperature control, a whole range of body functions, including hormones.
How do we treat it?
From the doctor's point of view, we've got to pursue this research. We've got to pursue the research.
Well, that's really helpful to me. I've come to you with this. You say, oh, it's okay, I've got to pursue the research. Doctor, put your research away, doctor.
Put the research away.
Get your pen and your prescription pad out.
We've got to look at what perpetuates this illness. We've got to look at 4 factors. We've got to look at evidence for virus persisting or a virus being reactivated in the body. disturbances in the way the immune system is reacting to a persistent virus, disturbances in the muscle, disturbances in the brain.
I'm a patient, doctor. I don't want to know all this. I just want to...
Yeah, but as a patient with ME, you do want to know all this. Patients with ME desperately want the medical profession to carry out this research. It's not being done.
I want to know... We want the answers found. I agree with Dr. Joshua. We want the answers found. Just because the answers aren't here now doesn't mean to say, oh, we give up. We need research. Just because there's no magic test for ME now doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I would have thought that with a persistent, I'm not a doctor, but with a persistent viral infection, any viral infection, gives rise to many different symptoms. We know that, but we've had flu in the past, don't we?
How do you treat it, Mike?
This is why so many people who have ME or fatigue syndrome or any of the other names you want to give it end up looking for alternative treatments. That's why they get fed up with the doctors. And the fact of the matter is that I think we have two very different viewpoints here. I think we have, firstly, the patient who has it, who wants to know what they can do.
I'm a patient. I want to know.
You want to know what to do.
I want to be told they're doing all the wonderful research. Of course, but we're actually now. I want to go home. Being told.
What you don't want to be told, Robert, is that you are a depressive, take the antidepressants. The psychiatrists are trying to hijack this illness. Now, I have to say, firstly, the psychiatrists have had a pretty bad press over the last few years. And they're looking for something reputable. And they are trying to hijack this illness and say it is totally a psychiatric illness. Now, in my practice as a complementary therapist, I have seen many, many people for many years with ME or its likes. Some of them, I am convinced, do not have ME. Some of them use it as a cover for anorexia, as a cover for bulimia, as a cover for behavioral disturbances. No, some of them have illnesses like MS which have to be diagnosed, which is why the ME patient must be screened by a proper medical screening process. But the trouble with most GPs is they are what the profession calls heart sink patients. The patient walks in and your heart sinks. Oh, God, it's one of those.
Is that how you react, Doctor? Oh, it's one of those.
No, I don't. I mean, I think what's interesting about this discussion so far is the two doctors have said, yes, it's ME, have given you no treatment for your condition.
I'm the one that keeps asking for the treatment, but actually you've been told, wait for the research, Robert.
Well, exactly. I prefer, and I'm more interested. I am a psychiatrist, and psychiatrists are not trying to hijack this illness, and no psychiatrist that I know thinks this is a purely psychological disorder and is all in the mind. All the psychiatrists that I work with...
How much, then?
All in the mind. Just give me a chance, Nicky, if I may, please.
Not purely in the mind. How much is in the mind?
I don't think it is all in the mind. Indeed, I don't think any mental illness is all in the mind. I go that far. My approach is actually to say, well, if you say you've got ME, that means you've got a persistent viral infection or an immune dysregulation. There is nothing you can do and nothing your doctor can do. That is a counsel of despair for the patient who's ill now. Fine, wait for the research to come on later. Fine to wait for the research to find the cure. I suspect there won't ever be the cure for ME. My approach, if I may please, Nicky, finish what I do for my patients. My approach is far more pragmatic. I express ignorance. It's not conspiracy of the doctors, it's ignorance. We don't know the answer to ME.
That's honest.
And therefore my approach, absolutely, well, it's ignorance. It's not actually conspiracy. And therefore my approach is purely pragmatic. I look for what is wrong with my patient. Whether that is physical or psychological, I don't care. Whether that's cause or effect, I don't care. If they have that problem, whether it's depression, whether it's sleep problems, whether it's physical deconditioning, which can be extremely severe, I treat the whole lot at the same time. And blow me down, what happens to my patients? They tend to get better. And I'm not worried about what is cause and effect. Treat what you find is the secret to this illness.
I'm sorry, this business about getting better, there is... As with any illness, as with any serious illness, there are degrees of sufferers, and there are the people who, like my daughter, who are laying there day in, day out, who I had to sit and hold her hand last night because she is physically, and she's not imagining these multitude of symptoms.
How do you think she is either?
And she's seen psychiatrists, believe me, she's seen psychiatrists, and again she was told in the beginning, it's in the mind, go back to college. She went back to college, she collapsed. She's 19 now. They said to her a year ago, we hope you won't get any worse. You won't get any worse. She's getting worse by the day, and she laid there last night with a burning in her head, and she's passing out all the time, and she's saying to me, Mummy, please help me. I don't want to die.
She feels depressed.
Psychiatrist. It isn't depression. She's not depressed. She's
because
of the illness.
My point.
I challenge anybody. I challenge anybody to lay there day after day, month after month, year after year, 24 hours a day, night, day, it's all the same. I challenge anybody to lay there like that or to try and work through it. And turn around and say, this is depressed. Of course they're going to be depressed. Their lives are stopped.
That's too simplistic. Psychiatrists, rather like neurologists and immunologists, don't have just don't have. I'm saying what I'm agreeing with you actually.
He's agreeing with you.
I'm actually what I'm saying is psychiatrists don't have all the answers. Rather like immunologists and neurologists, we need to work together to work on both body and mind to heal people. And I agree that she needs help.
I think that does the government do enough? Does the government do enough to provide resources?
Correct me, but everyone's saying that there's no government-funded research into ME. There's a lot of private charity funding, but the states do a bit, I think, but I don't think there is in this country. And we're relying on our MPs, friends, to lobby in Parliament for it. What about the money for blood tests?
Yes, we have commissioned under the Medical Research Council research into it, and we've got a meeting of the all-party ME group on Monday to discuss it.
Great.
Yep.
Does the government do enough?
Can I just all-party group parliamentary research room? I know what the research is that the MRC are doing. The research is looking at patients. The Medical Research Council are commissioning a study looking at patients who go to their doctor feeling tired. 90% of GP consultations are people being tired. That's fine. Only about 5 or less than that, 5 to 1% of those people have ME. That is not research into ME. That is research into tiredness and fatigue. ME is far more than just being fatigued. I want to bring up...
The politicians therefore take it... The politicians, if the doctors, if the medical profession on the evidence, some of the evidence we're getting here, anecdotal albeit, but nevertheless evidence, aren't taking ME seriously enough. Is the government or politicians?
Yes, we did, because we've set up a task force with local authorities to try and help people. But look at the confusion among the medical profession. And we're trying to make a decision. All right, we will be spending money on research. But what we're going to do on Monday, I hope, is persuade the government to get rid of the prejudice which is so blatant in the disability handbook.
What's it like to have ME? How?
Yeah, it totally stops your life, and you lose your friends, you lose your social life. I've had to give up my job as well. Yeah, that's gone.
You lose everything. So I'm getting upset now.
I'm getting your mum?
Yeah, I said over, didn't I? I mean, it's just awful. You see your girl, you see your daughter with her life slipping by, not able to go out and mix with anybody, not able to lead a normal life, get married, have children, all those kind of things, trained to do a job to teach their children, which is what she did, to be treated abominably in the beginning. And it just takes I mean, things are better now than they were. And you ring her up, because she stays with us sometimes, and we go down there, and you ring her up, and you sit at the bottom of the stairs because she's been on the phone, and you're helpless, and you don't know what to do. I mean, it just takes over everything. It affects the family. I'm sorry, I can't.
That's all right, Mother. How does it affect you?
The worst of it is the muscle pain, I think, and the fact that I used to walk 3 miles to work, and now I'm lucky if I can walk 10 yards.
How does it make you feel, because of the pain and what you can't do? How does it affect the way you look at things and the way you think about things?
But to start off with, it
must make you very depressed.
It did, but the trouble is, you can't just sort of sit back in your depression and think, oh God, this is terrible, because it is. But if you thought like that, you never get anywhere. I have to set myself one goal every day, one thing I'm going to do that day.
What, such as?
And it could be something as simple as getting out of bed and getting downstairs.
And that's important.
It's very important.
And that's something, an achievement.
As simple as
washing your hands.
Prioritisation is the key with living with ME. You live according to what your body tells you can do. If you have a good day, you might go to 2 shops and walk 1,000 yards. If you're really lucky, if one day you might get out of bed and you might manage to have a shave, a bite to eat, wash your hair, and you wipe out the rest of the day.
You're very energetic. You're all you're really hyper.
I'm hyper now. Robert, I'm hyper now because I'm psyched up. Because I'm angry.
How will you be tomorrow? How will you be tomorrow?
I could be wiped out. Yeah. I wish the research would phone me up early. I'd love to have been asleep. Yes, sorry. But I've been looking forward to this program.
David, what I mean, when I get back, you seem to have an enormous amount of energy.
I know. No, that's coming through the anger. I don't get many chances to be on television to talk about ME with an awful illness, and so people get excited. But when I get back to Brighton, I should be wiped out for the next 2 days, so I should lie on my food time, take it easy. My legs are really painful. I drove up. I didn't get on the train. I drove up with automatic cars, no clutch.
That's like climbing Everest.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is what people don't understand. But I'm animated now because I want people to understand how awful the illness is. And I'm glad that some MPs are interested. Our local MP, Andrew Bowen, is the patron of our local ME group, and that's great, getting people involved.
Sandra, how does it affect you?
It affects me as badly as it affects Nicky. I spend 3/4 of my time in bed, usually recovering from an excess of activity. I actually am the parliamentary advisor to the groups, and I find writing all the material very, very difficult. I get perhaps, on a good day, an hour and a half when I can actually think well enough to write to the required standard. And that isn't an hour and a half straight off. That is an hour and a half in, say, 20-minute segments. So I write for 20 minutes, and then I lie down.
So it doesn't just affect what you can do physically, whether it's getting down the stairs, washing your hair, as David said, or driving here. It's also what you can actually...
Because your short-term memory and your concentration are badly impaired. They're neurological symptoms caused by whatever is occurring in the central nervous system.
How does it impact when somebody like Sandra or our friend up there, and we saw the impact on Mom, sitting next to her, said the whole life's been destroyed, the effect upon the family. What is the effect? Your wife's ill. What's the effect upon you?
Well, it's
your relationships?
Well, it's devastating. You don't know how bad it's going to get. You know how bad it is. You've seen somebody decline sharply and steeply. And is there any wonder that
Can you describe the decline?
From being active, from being vibrant, from being sociable, from being ebullient, effervescent, bubbly person, to being so frustrated that she can't do anything.
How quickly does that happen?
Well, it happened. It was precipitated by an accident, but it happened very quickly. The decline has been very, very sharp, very steep. Yeah, she still has a spirit, and it's a spirit that has kept her going, like that guy's spirit there. But is it any wonder, Robert, that people in this room, if people are watching at home who have this, get so angry with GPs who dismiss it, with people who say, oh, well, it's psychiatric, obviously, and all that absolute nonsense. They don't want to be ill.
How does it affect the family? What's the impact upon all the other members that aren't?
It affects the whole family. Sorry. It affects the whole family. It's a family problem. My daughter's been away from home for 2 years. She was a mountain climber. She was always off doing something. And now, this is my daughter. And now she can bath and get herself up. But that's as far as she can go. So she very often can't come downstairs. And we can't...
What does it do to you? Did you believe it?
Yes, I did. Because
you understood you weren't at any stage saying, come, get out of bed, or get out.
No, she's not like that. It's not her personality. She does as much as she can now. She's always thinking of something she can do. But she's had to give up everything. She can't even sew now because her shoulders are too painful. And it's affected our life because I've had to give up a lot to look after her. I don't resent that. It's not a burden. But how long is this going to go on for? We can't plan anything. If we plan something, we never know whether she's going to be well enough to be able to do it. If I want to go out anywhere, I've got to make sure that she's provided for, that she's able to come downstairs and get something, or I've got to take it all up there and it's got to be ready for her. Because one of the problems is the isolation and the social side of it. She can't get out. When you've been ill for this long, people, I mean, her friends have been very good, but...
no one can understand. No one can understand unless they're there. You often can look quite good. I mean, you look brilliant. Yeah. I know I'm 80% now better, and there's a lot of hope, and that's really what I want to say to people. Please don't give up. It's a very, very difficult illness. It's not perhaps any worse than many illnesses, but the reason that it's awful is you don't get support. You're
How long have you been ill?
6 years.
What's been the effect?
Same as what Nicky said, basically, that going from having a young wife, sporty, social, involved in everything, suddenly, virtually overnight, to having a flu, which never ended, you know, and she went from not being able to walk up the stairs. As far as we were concerned, it just turned our life upside down. She couldn't do anything around the house. She couldn't really do anything. She didn't want to do anything.
Well, I did want to, but your body is just not able to function. Your head, your mind, your emotions, everything is devastated. no one understands this, because when they look at you, I'm very lucky now. I can.
You look all right, my love.
I know.
You look a bit more than all right.
I am.
You're saying she's changed through. She's vivacious.
Yeah, sure.
What she said, she was a granny for a long time. You know, from
what you mean? She behaved like a granny.
What she
was a granny for a long time. You know, from
what you mean? She behaved like a granny.
She just had no energy.
Unfortunately, from a vibrant young lady. She's back now, almost back with us.
You have the joint pains, you have the confusion.
No one understands. She said so many times that she wished she had an illness.
Because no one is willing to sit and... We don't want
It's not just the problem that you have all these difficulties.
It's not like another illness. You have that, but on top of that you have the isolation, you have misunderstanding, you have people looking sideways at you if you dare to say ME. And you see it cross their face, they back off, even nurses, even doctors. My doctor said, Sandra, you're over 40. You will slow up, dear. I was crawling up the stairs. I run it. I mean, I'm getting back, and that's really important. I really want people to understand that.
What about who?
People who had multiple sclerosis had all this. I mean, they were sent to psychiatrists, weren't they? And now, of course, it's accepted that although, as far as I know, I'm not a doctor, but I've been told there is no test for multiple sclerosis. And yet people don't say, oh dear, you can't possibly have something called multiple sclerosis, you better go to a psychiatrist.
How long have you been on?
8 years, and I'm a lot stronger now, as you can see.
Did you carry on working?
For a while, I was a head teacher for 9 years, and for about 4 to 5 of those years, I had ME. I brought a bed into school. I got my mother to help me to get to school in a taxi. Somebody helped me up the path. Somebody opened the door. I had a bed in my office to lie on to open the mail, and what I didn't know at the time was I shouldn't have been doing any of that, because nobody said to me, you should take a year off. For all I know, I might still have been able to be a head teacher if I hadn't have done all that fighting. It was the wrong sort of fighting. You have to be much more cunning.
My daughter was 8 when it started, and she doesn't have a say in going into school or whatever. And so they're saying she doesn't like school. You know, she's ill. One headmaster said to Sarah, nothing wrong with Sarah. She doesn't like school. So I, as a mother, I'll be honest, it's a dreadful, dreadful thing, and I think somebody else who hears this must know they've done the same. Screaming at her, you're going to school. Screaming at her, throw in the clothes, you get dressed, you're going. And she said, I'm too ill, you're going.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 12 and a half now.
Well, before you go home today, get from me a copy of Guidelines for Schools. Which
I've got them all.
You have.
This is in the primary school.
We've got Guidelines for Schools. Essex Education Authority have sent them out. Humberside have sent them out.
Did you tell your mum to go to school?
No. I was actually very, very lucky.
You throw her clothes at her, say, get out there, woman, and go to school. And Did you?
Shut up. Yeah, no, I was very, very lucky.
Your people do a lot of talking, don't they? You notice?
I was very, very lucky because I was 15 at the time. Mum got very ill, and I had to do O-levels and A-levels, and I was wanting to go to university. And we just moved out of living with my grandmother. And she basically looked after Mum, who was in bed almost the whole time. And if she hadn't been there, I don't know if I could have carried on with my schooling or gone to university. It was terrible.
What was the impact upon you?
I actually can't remember very much about what happened. I think it's actually been wiped out from my mind. I cannot remember what happened.
Do you feel guilty? I'm not suggesting that you should. I didn't think you would. I didn't. No, I did. No, I'll tell you why. I would. I'm not. Of course you did.
Yes, I did. Because
why did you react like that?
Because I was being
normal. But you're an intelligent person. You know that it's a natural thing, even though we know it's not our fault and we're not in any responsible. And several of you shouted the same. Why should you? But you do feel guilty.
Yes,
you're imposing pressures on people you love.
Well, I feel guilty about it.
And you feel guilty too.
Well, no, I mean, there was I was doing O-levels and A-levels and going to university and all the rest of it, and I was thinking, well, perhaps I should be back here. Yeah. And yet when I was back there, if something was wrong, I couldn't really do anything about it. There was nothing I could find to do to help.
How does that affect your relationship? You must have had some.
We talked about it. We talked about it. That's the only way to get through this.
Do you feel guilty?
No, I just feel very angry that people just dismiss it as a fragment of your imagination when it's not.
You have to apologise. I'm sorry I can't do this, but I just can't do it. And if you have a good relationship anyway, it will survive something, as death.
You think I feel guilty, although I know it's not my fault that I'm ill, it's not my fault, but I do feel that my parents now can't go on holiday, they should be free, I was at university,
they shouldn't be looking after me like a school child.
How old are you?
21. I was at university before I
So if
became
you're
ill.
feeling like that, however, and we all know that it's silly to feel like that, but we do that in part of our everyday life with all our relations. We also know that it affects, therefore, the relationship. Do you worry sometimes that your mum, dad's attitude to you, even though you know in your heart they're not, is coloured by the way you feel guilty?
No, I don't think that. I mean, I know that they love me. I know that they want to look after me. But I just feel sometimes I'm not getting in the way, but I shouldn't be there. I should be out, and I shouldn't be stopping Mum's life. She should be out doing what she wants to do, not being looking after me.
I'm trying very hard to reassure her that this is a family problem, that we love her and we need her to be in our family if she's ill.
But you have to change your lifestyle.
But we have to change our lifestyle, and it's not her problem, it's a family problem. It's come and affected us all.
Is there recovery, Nicky? Are you optimistic?
Yeah, you've got to be optimistic. I know
recover from this?
Well, I know my wife's got a great spirit, and I think, as I said earlier on, hopefully it goes out the back door as the same way as it came in the front one. And you've got to have that hope. And that's what that lady said there is the most wonderful thing. You're all together in it, you know, whether it's a family situation or whatever. And, I feel sorry for people out there who might be on their own, Ross.
So, but what do you do after, like in my daughter's case? I mean, I wish she could be here to speak for herself, but she's desperately ill, as I said. And, I mean, what do you do when 3 years on into the illness, when your life is taken away, your dignity is taken away, because one can't even fit in above, not because of exhaustion or pain or all of those symptoms, but because the mere feeling of water makes them so desperately sick, makes them so dizzy, like they're spinning into a hole. I mean, how do you keep hoping? How do you keep hoping when you phone a doctor and they say, well, we can't do anything. We can't help you. What do we do?
I know you're not a doctor, Michael, but you're the next best thing.
I find all this very depressing, because we've had none of the positive aspects. Most people with ME get better. Very few people with ME are as severely ill as some of the people that we've heard about today.
So what happens to
those that are, it's terrible for.
What did you say?
What happens to those? What happens to children like my daughter?
Well, that's what the research is all about, and that's why we need the research. But for most people with ME, they do get better, and I think nobody said how. They get better by eating well. They get better by not going on lunatic diets. They get better by never listening to somebody who says, pull your socks up, go for a walk, take exercise. I mean, this programmed exercise idea.
No.
The
passage of time, that's all it is.
Can you recover? Can you recover?
You can recover. I've had ME I had ME. I'm going to put had. I had ME for 5 years. And I can really promise you, you will get over it. I mean,
How did you get over it?
I got over it by time.
How bad was it? How bad was it?
It wasn't as bad as your daughter, but
But you can't. Nobody can promise. Nobody. There isn't. You can't
promise. But you have to believe that you can.
We have.
What did you do?
We have believed. We've done everything. We've gone every. I'm sorry, but I'm having to stand there and do this for my daughter's sake.
Quickly. What would you say? What would you say to Ross's daughter? Quickly.
Quickly. What can I say? Just rest and time. It's time, and you will get over it.
Take your time. Take care of yourselves. Have a good weekend. See you on Monday.